There are about 400,000 African elephants left in the wild, with a majority found in southern Africa. South Africa's population of African savanna elephants has grown to more than 40,000 in the last 60 years, but they're still listed as endangered and face increasing pressures from habitat loss, human-wildlife conflict and illegal trade. Some say human-elephant conflict in South Africa has reached crisis proportions in areas such as Limpopo, Mpumalanga, Northwest and KwaZulu-Natal. It's resulted in the loss of human life, the destruction of crops and the livelihoods of communities.
There are at least 4 or 5 hotspot, what I would call hotspot areas in some of our parks where communities and elephants are in conflict. And this is because of the resources. I flew over many of the game reserves and saw broken fences and the kind of destruction that takes place, but also saw that human beings are also part of the problem. In that in buffer zones where there should be no residences, people have built their homes.
The Indaba aims to inform future legislation and conservation strategies. Some of the interventions considered include improved fencing, eradicating alien vegetation, trophy hunting, translocation and also culling where necessary. Delegates heard that countries such as India installed water wells for elephants in the wet and dry season. And also to be considered is the fence system in the Addo Elephant Park in the Eastern Cape, which has since the 1950s prevented human-wildlife conflict.
We also want to employ local communities and train them to become rangers, to become the eyes and ears of the community. We want to use things like drones. We want to use satellite imagery to see if there are any trouble spots, we can deal with it as quickly as possible. But communities have to be protected, from any damage that results from animal conflict.
Statistics have shown that South African biodiversity-based tourism, which includes visits to game parks amongst others, contributed 27.7 billion rand to the gross domestic product in 2019. It's also said that the broader tourism sector employs more people than the mining and utility industries. But communities around the parks and game reserves say they still don't benefit directly from these economic spin-offs.
The main issue is EMPs, elephant management plans. All the management authorities that have elephants in their national park or nature reserve should have those EMPs reviewed, and more especially like Limpopo or like MTPA in Mpumalanga. There are even 3 nature reserves, that's Manyeleti, Mtetomusha and Songimvelo, of which have been run from 2015. They didn't have EMPs. So that's where the problem is. You are here because of part of the management authorities were lacking oversight in terms of making sure that they therefore have proper EMPs with a culling plan. So if those management authorities did have oversight, we shouldn't be here.
Lebotse says communities want traversing rights to benefit from tourism-related activities, and that they also need to be capacitated, such as being trained as professional hunters. Scientists say research points to the need to manage small and large populations of elephants as part of a meta-population and not as separate populations. This means that populations in smaller areas can be managed more intensely, while populations in larger areas can be managed with less intensity. The science also shows that it's more important to look at what type of area the elephants are in instead of how many of them are in a certain location.
For elephants, what drives them, so why do they spend time in a certain area, is really dependent on what is there. So for water, food, comfort and safety, those are the key drivers that make elephants spend time in certain areas. So by manipulating those, we can make elephants spend more time or less time. They spend less time, their impact is less.
With diminishing habitats and human encroachment, conflict is inevitable.
If the ice cream is on the other side of the fence, so communities have maize farms, there's lovely maize or watermelons, that's ice cream. So that attracts elephants. So for conflict, obviously, there's something that the elephants need. It's in a community area, and it's a conflict around resources. So that's when conflict really takes place, and it's driven by resources.
The Indaba resolutions are expected to promote coexistence between wildlife and people and expand the benefits of sustainable tourism to all, so that these giants can continue to play their crucial role in maintaining the health and diversity of our ecosystems. Renee Heine, SABC News, Hluhluwe.